Before you look at my videotape, I would just like to tell you a little about the contents and the ideas I have in the video. They're ideas that you should develop for yourself. Of course, they're my ideas, my way of fighting, but it doesn't mean that it will suit everybody. But whether you're a black belt or beginner, just take the ideas, think about it, change it if you want. Sometimes it's Chudan Moashi Geri, sometimes Jodan Moashi. You don't have to follow the tape exactly. The decision is entirely up to you. Only think about the basic ideas when you do the actual combinations, the footwork, the balance. I explain a lot about body movement, and that is something that is lacking in fighting. Everybody wants to move in a straight line. One should be able to move to the left, move to the right, up, down, sideways, forward, back, any direction. So please study the tape. Don't just look at it. Study it, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. I'm sure most of you have your own fighting position, but I'd just like to point out a few things. One, you can see by the center line, my feet are well placed and balanced. Again, the feet are well placed, weight down, and the arms kept up in position. Now we start with the low kicks. Make contact with the shin. Kicking to the front leg using your back leg. Now from a little bit more distance we skip in to attack the opponent's back leg. Switching legs. Be careful not to move the left hip and the left shoulder. Keep them forward at all times and kick. Switch and kick with the shin. Now with a little bit more tempo. Always returning on balance. Now we take a look at some action from the European Championships. There's one low kick. Kick one low and one high. It's no good just to kick low all the time. One must try to vary the height of the techniques. A high kick, low kick, high kick, and a back kick. Same competition. Low kicks again. It's not necessary to try to take the opponent out with a low kick every time. Sometimes you can use it just as a feint to set him up for another technique, as there. Now we block the low kicks. Notice how I'm moving off the center, moving in to the kick. In this instance, I hop back away from the kick. We'll make these points clearer. Look at the center line and see how I move off the center to my left, off the center to my right. Always keeping on balance, waiting for the counter. Skipping back, away from the opponent this time. Moving to the left again, moving to the right. The center line is very important here. Please keep this in mind. Move back. Moving in to the block. Moving into the block again. Always keeping close to my opponent and on balance. At this point you must watch the knee and the elbow are close together. This low kick could easily become a Jodan Mawashigeri. Now we skip back and counter with a Moashi Geri. Block, we move in. Back leg Moashi. Moving off the centre line all the time. He's a Geri. Skip in and kick Kakegeri Jodan. Try to watch how I move off the centre. Basic punch in position. Moving off the centre again. One side punch is straight punch, move off the centre, move in with the shitaski. Now we're working at a very close distance to your partner. Work into the body. Moving to my left, blocking off the centre, punch into the body, taking the elbow down and one more punch to the body. Lock in and moving to the side. When you take the elbow after this punch, take the arm and the elbow across the body. Two attacks. Oiski, Gyakuski. Moving, taking your opponent's arm down, taking your left hand to your opponent's neck. Watch again. We block, moving all the time off the centre, and your right hand comes onto your opponent's shoulder. We'll show that clearly a little later. Moving off the centre. I can't emphasize this enough. You must move. Blocking with the left, blocking with the right, cover the face with the left arm. Now take your opponent's neck and put your right hand on his shoulder, locking his arm and his position. Again, moving off the centre, don't forget that. Take the neck, right hand on your opponent's shoulder, locking his arm. I attack with a straight punch, my opponent blocks. The second attack will go round the block and then punch to the face. Around his block, cover his arm, punch to the face, take his elbow down and lock his position. Watch carefully. Straight punch. The second one, I hook around the block. I cover his arm, punch to the face, and then after the punch to the face, then I use my elbow to drive his elbow down, take the neck, and my right hand on his left shoulder. Move off the centre and punch to the face. I show this because not all techniques have to be so technical or dynamic. Very basic position. Same attack. Now the distance is a little bit closer, so I move in with the elbow. Strike to the face. Be very careful with these techniques, of course. Especially the elbow. It's a very strong movement. Punches in competition. There's lots of action, lots of punches, but of course it's very difficult to have an effective punch when both fighters, in this case, are working well. But you can use your punches to set up your opponent for another attack, keeping him away, keeping distance. There's a low kick, for example, and then a combination of punches. So it's not necessary to hit 100% every time. Just keep your distance and set your opponent up for the next attack. Takedowns, probably one of the most popular techniques, or sweeps. There I'm blocking by moving off the center line and taking my opponent down. Always finish the technique. Don't just stand there and walk away, otherwise you lose your point, you lose your chance in a competition. Catch with the left arm, take down, keep your head away. Don't lean over your opponent too much, otherwise he could kick you off the floor. Instep. I block with my left, catch the left leg and punch to the body. I throw the leg over my opponent. I block with my left and catch with my right. Block, take the leg, hold the jacket, hold the gi jacket with the left, take your left leg behind, take him down, release, punch to the body, throw the leg away, and then step back. The attack is Yushiro Mawashigeri, so I step inside, catch the kicking leg, take my opponent down and punch to finish the technique. Because once I've caught a leg, I don't release it until I finish the complete technique. If you release the kicking leg as the partner goes to the floor, then he has the possibilities to use that leg and kick you off the floor. So you must keep hold of the kicking leg at all times. Timing is very important with these techniques. It's very difficult to take somebody's legs. There it didn't quite work because he jumped up in the air. You take the back leg there and always finish up with a punch. Switching legs, attack low kick, and Mawashigeri to the pad. The pads, they give you distance, they give you timing, and they give you a little feeling in your technique. It's not like hitting a bag, a sack, because that's heavy and it's a heavy kick. These techniques are simply to give you timing, your distance, movement and balance in technique, without, of course, hurting your partner. There. Low kick and Mawashi using the same leg. Switch 1 and 2. I'm trying to build the tempo up all the time. If you do the techniques fast, at a good tempo, of course it builds up condition. This technique you saw earlier on in the video, so now we use it with a pad. So you can actually feel the low kick hop in. Don't forget, move in, hit with the shin. Same technique. Now the partner will move away and move back. Step in, Moashigeri. It's important that you have the correct distance and your partner works with you. It's no good the partner just standing there and doing nothing. He must move, give you the right distance, must have the pads in the correct place. Now we use hand mitts. This is more for condition training. So I react to wherever the pads are. The pads change positions, I punch sometimes, I kick moashigeri, you shear moashi, and of course you work at a good tempo. Here I'm doing a lot of hook punches, of course. Switching legs moashigeri, you shear moashigeri. Now we take a look at the final in 1978. Try to look for the techniques that I've covered in the video. Low kicks, punches. There, a low kick. Of course my partner is working as well, he's punching well. Punching. 1-2 low kick. Punch, you shear moashigeri. Punching, moving around, just using the front arm just to keep distance, trying to set the man up for something else. Always is punch the body, attack to the head, low kick. Don't just attack the same level all the time. One should always vary the techniques. One high kick and punch into the body. Punch and send him back. You use less energy when using your hands than you would with your legs, of course. There's low kick, moashigeri and punches. But there was the combination moashigeri, shear moash, as you saw earlier, using the mitts. Punches to the body, low kicks, high kicks, so punch. And of course the referee controls the fight all the time, pulls us back to the centre. And you can see now that the low kicks are starting to take effect. My opponent is starting to limp a little. There was a low kick and I took him down, but no point. I was too far away. I didn't follow up correctly, which is one of the points I was trying to make earlier on. Must follow up correctly. And the final result, European Champion 1978. Not much to be said about the coming sequence. I think you should just look. I know.
Den är bra. Okej, banden rullar. Pass på.
Get your hand out the way! Yeesha! Sa. Come to the side.
I'm Marco Lala, and I want to thank you for ordering How to Knock Out Any Attacker Within Seconds. What you just saw are only some of the highlights on this exciting new instructional video. A video that combines actual fight footage with the training and conditioning that's necessary for survival. Now what makes this tape different is that I'll show you how to train, how to develop the tools, the weapons that you need to become a much more effective fighter. Now as you'll soon see, I'm not trying to promote any one particular system or style, because many martial arts are limited. For example, some martial arts will use much more circular movements as opposed to rigid or linear movements. Some systems emphasize the spiritual as opposed to the physical. What I've discovered is that there are 6 basic fundamental concepts to true fighting ability. I call them the 6 S's to success in fighting. They are speed, stamina, skill, strength, stretch or flexibility, and spirit, or your will to win. Now this tape will be the first of a series of tapes that will outline and detail these 6 fundamental concepts. Now let's go to the first training segment where I'll show you how to develop the legs for much more effective footwork and kicking ability. Us. The various forms of knee bends and squatting exercises demonstrated here are designed to maximize both coordination and muscular endurance. These simple conditioning exercises were slightly modified to incorporate the kicking techniques and fighting stances common to most martial arts systems. Since the legs are the roots or foundation to all fighting techniques and applications, we must place special attention to developing them properly. Some systems actually allow low kicks to the legs during sparring in class or actual competition, so much greater emphasis is placed on conditioning them. What you're looking at now is a combination of the squat in the basic fighting stance with hands in the guard position. The hopping actually works on developing the calves, the ankles, and even gives you a feel for making contact with the balls of your feet. The balls of your feet are a natural striking area of the body used in many of the kicking techniques. The skipping in and out works on distance and adds a springing action to your offensive technique, increasing your power. To make the exercise a bit more challenging, you can combine kicks and squats, making the workout twice as effective in half the time. Here I'm demonstrating the front kick with the roundhouse kick while I'm in a fighting stance performing the squat. In this next routine, by using the barbell, it'll give you that little extra resistance you need for an even greater endurance workout. I wouldn't recommend using much too heavy weights for this exercise. Here I'm performing the hopping squats in a fighting stance. You can also work on combining kicks as I did before. With the jump rope, I tried to simulate the different speeds that one uses in a fighting situation. For example, high speed, explosive outbursts from much slower, more paced speeds. The double turn jump rope exercise helps in developing the explosive power you need for offensive techniques. Now we move to medicine ball training. With the medicine ball, your training partner pretty much sets the pace of the workout routine. He can go slow or fast. He can hit your upper body or lower body. And he can even help you with your kicking and punching techniques. Striking the medicine ball after it makes hard contact with your body is a very interesting concept. Many people freeze or are intimidated in a fighting situation when they are being hit hard or on the defensive. This training wakes up those inner instincts of hitting back and countering after taking a few shots. Since no system has the ultimate blocking method that stops every attack, we must work on countering after a body hit. This type of training helps you take techniques as well as dishing them out. Remember, always try to keep your hands up. In a fighting situation, after you're throwing techniques, keeping your hands up is important since your opponent may evade and come back and follow up with counter techniques. You may want to start slow in the beginning, throwing 1 and 2 combinations, then working up to speed. Here you can see I'm going to test different angles. I'm going to work on different angles for my kicking techniques. I've instructed my training partner to hold the medicine ball to the side so that I can work the roundhouse kicks. Try to bring the knee up and slam the kick in with the instep.
Try with the yellow leg, Mark.
Again, he can also play around with the angles and the heights. For middle height kicks, high kicks.
Combination kick. Oh, same side, left, right.
There I tried to do a combination where I was going to throw 2 kicking techniques.
The other side. Let me do a few more.
Again, keep your hands up when performing the training methods. Your breathing is also important in this. Try to exhale as you perform the technique to ensure that there's more power behind the blow.
Take a rest. Stop.
Next, I'm going to show you how to work with 2 partners, throwing the medicine ball back and forth and striking. This way you can both benefit from this training. Next, we move to a little more advanced version of the medicine ball training. It's working with 2 partners. This should definitely give you a much more intensified workout. What may be interesting also is to use 2 medicine balls, with each partner concentrating on a different body area, upper body and lower body. When you start working the striking techniques, try working with punches on one side and kicking on the other. Work on the distance. Make sure when he throws the medicine ball back, you're at a good distance so it doesn't bounce off your chest awkwardly. Then slowly start working up the speed. And then, of course, combinations. Eventually doing hands and kicks on both sides. Stair training. This routine is probably as much a mental workout as it is a physical workout. When you go up, you can skip stairs or hit every step for really good foot coordination. On your way down, keep your hands up by your jaw, as you would in a real fighting situation. The squatting stance training definitely intensifies the leg workout. It also gives you time to catch your breath for when you go back up. By adding hand weights, we work the upper body as well as the lower body. A barbell really makes this a tough workout, but the benefits are definitely worth it. My little brother really enjoys stair training. He constantly nags me every day to run up and down stairs. He says it's real good training for him, but for some reason I think I get more out of the workout than he does. As we slide into the various forms of sparring methods, keep in mind that you and your partner are both learning from one another. Be very careful not to injure your sparring partner with blind techniques or strikes to vital areas such as the groin, throat, or eyes. In this drill, one side is using hand techniques while the other side is just blocking. The defensive side should work on evasion, even absorbing some techniques. The offensive side should concentrate on feints, fakes, jabs, distancing, combinations, jamming your opponent, blocking, and also evading. As you can see, quite often I try to move in to neutralize his attacks. In this training segment, I'm still using offense versus defense, but I'm just concentrating on kicks now. I put my hands behind my back, so I'm not tempted to using them. Still, one side's blocking, and one side is throwing the offensive techniques. This is where you really learn about distancing. As you can see, he's trying to keep me off balance because I'm getting in with some of the kicks. It's not really a good idea to get too fancy in a real fighting situation, but when you're just sparring, you can experiment with various kinds of techniques. As you can see, I'm trying to work different kinds of blocks. Right there, he almost got me with the hook kick. It's very important to keep your elbows in. There you see me using the jamming method. I'm trying to keep him off balance so that he can't use his legs effectively. It's really tough holding back, trying not to hit your opponent, but you're also working on controlling your body movements. Now what I did here is let one side just throw hand techniques while the other side throws kicks. Now you would think that the kicker could have the advantage, but if you move in quick enough, the person using the hand techniques can really get the best of you. Again, you see him moving in and jamming me as I was throwing that back kick. You'll find out that you got to really snap those kicks in there, or your opponent will just grab your leg. There I attempted a knee kick by hooking the opponent behind the head. There's not really much room to run around in there, so you really got to try to work the techniques. Of course, then we put it all together, where both sides use punching and kicking techniques. Try not to get too rough, though. Again, be careful and don't injure your sparring partner. It looks like by grabbing my leg, he may get an advantage over me. But if you are going to grab the leg, use it with one hand. Try to keep the other hand up, or so you can use it for offensive techniques. What I did here was just remove all the protective gear. Now, I'm not really concentrating on showing you actual techniques. What I'm trying to portray here is working on wrestling, trying to wrestle your opponent down to the ground. You really get the feel for body movement and how to manipulate your opponent's limbs when you're working inside. You may want to also add striking techniques in here. For example, after a takedown, you may perform an elbow technique, or possibly a punch to the face, maybe even a stomp to the groin area. Bag training. It's almost impossible not to think of bag training when it comes to fight preparation. But it's probably one of the most neglected forms of training for the martial artist. What I did is try to customize my heavy bags. I have a low bag here for a lot of the low techniques. Low kicks, knee kicks. Then I have a higher bag for hand techniques and high kicks. I also have a third bag which is set at a middle height for combining all the techniques, low, high, and middle. What I'm doing here is performing the low kick one at a time. I'm trying to get the feel of the heavy bag. By swinging the bag and kicking into it, I really work on explosive power. Again, try to work on making contact with the shin area. Since it is a low kick, the shin area really adds impact to the strike. Try not to snap the kick in, but make it like a baseball bat swinging into the target. After working the techniques individually, try combining them. You may want to start, though, with just a two-kick combination. Retracting the leg is just as important as kicking the leg. You want to be right there with the second kick as soon as possible. Notice how I'm twisting my upper body and using my arms for balance. What I'm showing you here is working both sides evenly, like 5 or 6 times on each side. But if you do favor one side, try to work your weaker side a little bit more. You want to try to equalize both sides of your body. You want to have effective techniques coming from both angles, right and left. Now I tried adding more kicks to the combination. I'm working a 4 and 5 kick combination. when it comes to time, you may want to work different methods for hitting the bag. You may want to use a round system, 2, 4, even 8 and 10 minute rounds. What I like to do sometimes is try to go for like 15 or 20 minutes straight of various striking techniques. As you see here, I'm using the straight in knee kick. I'm setting the bag up with my hand, so that there really isn't much trouble in bounce and balance. Start out slowly, again getting the feel of the technique hitting the bag. This is an angular knee kick. I'm coming in from the side as opposed to straight in. As before, start working on the combinations. When throwing multiple knee kicks, you may find that you may have to grip the bag, or if you're sparring with somebody, you may have to hook the opponent behind the neck. When I get into the 4 and 5 knee kick combinations, you'll see how I really hold on to that bag to get those multiple kicks in there really quick. The longer chain on the lower bag really feels a lot different than the heavier bag with the short chain. Seems to be a lot more swinging motion involved, which can actually help you in your coordination. Now I'm slowly combining the two different knee kicks, straight in and angular. And of course, start combining the low kicks with the knee kicks. Slow kick, straight in, and then angular knee kick. Now would be a good time to use the round system. For example, 2 and 3 minute rounds of all the various low kicks. Straight in, roundhouse, straight in, angular. Of course, it's in training where thought process is involved, not in fighting. So really think out your bag training routine. What kind of combinations you're going to use? What are you going to work on today, or what training techniques you're going to work on tomorrow? Now you see I'm using the higher bag for the hand techniques. Again, start out with individual techniques, jabs, then multiplying the jabs, 2 and 3 jabs at a time. Notice how I keep my hands up before and after I throw the technique. This is a point that's neglected by a lot of people, and unfortunately they learn the lesson a little bit too late. I'm also keeping my elbows in, as I mentioned before during the sparring session. This is in order to protect the ribs. Now I moved into the uppercuts, 1 and 2 combinations. There's really an endless amount of possibilities in bag training. You can work the techniques slowly and try to develop more power, try to hitting the bag harder and harder. Or you can actually work on high-speed combinations. Right now I'm just simply going through the various forms of hand techniques. Jabs, crosses, uppercuts. Now we're working on hooks. Try to turn into the hook. As you can see, my right leg is turning into the bag. Now I'm switching the stances back and forth. The surface area sometimes can get really slippery since I'm outdoors. It could be raining, even snowing, and the leaves. But this actually helps in your balance. A couple of spinning back fists there. Now I'm trying to work combinations, putting together all the techniques that I showed you individually. Try to really dig in your fists. How you train is how you fight. So let it all come out in your training. Now we move to the next bag. Actually, what I did was shift over the bag so I can get a better angle for the kicking techniques. Right now I'm working with the front leg front kick. Notice how the knee comes up, then the kick is shot out. Chambering the knee is very important in your kicking techniques. If you notice, what I did a couple of times is let the bag swing into my stomach, sort of like the medicine ball training, where I absorb a shot and then retaliate with the technique and counter with the kick. Now I'm working kind of a switch step and then turning it into a back leg front kick. Next we move to the roundhouse kick. Very simply, one at a time, trying to work the height. By practicing the high kicks, you do improve your low kicks. Now I'm going to combine two kicks, a middle roundhouse kick and then a high roundhouse kick. When performing the roundhouse kick, concentrate on using the instep as opposed to the shin. Sometimes I encourage my students to use the ball of foot because at times they may have shoes or a hard pair of sneakers. Now we're working on the spinning kick. Right there, making contact with the heel. We move inside with the middle bag. This is where you put everything together. Low, high, and middle techniques. Right here I just put a quick combination together, a low kick and a 1-2 punch. You can work that over and over. There I'm using the uppercuts, high kicks, then shooting into low kicking techniques. That was a straight spinning back kick and jumping roundhouse kick. Here I'm throwing the infighting techniques. Elbows, knees, spinning elbows. Again, work on keeping your hands up after throwing all your techniques, kicks and punches. Your opponent could evade and come back with his own technique, so you really want to protect yourself. Next we move to the focus mitts. The focus mitt helped develop two requirements for successful offensive techniques. They are speed and accuracy. Right here I'm throwing a left-right, left combination. I'm really trying to work the speed on this. I want to hear the snap of the focus mitt, one right after the other. Working with the focus mitts really helps your concentration as well as speed and accuracy. I also added an elbow in there. You probably couldn't see it, but you can work the elbow techniques also. Now I move right into the hook punches. Work with your opponent. Tell him where you want his hands to help you in practicing more effectively. After a couple of slow tries, always try to speed it up. Again, I worked on the angles so that I can work the uppercuts. Notice right away the hands come back into the fighting position. You'll find yourself on your toes a lot more when working with the focus mitts as opposed to the heavy bag. Next, we work on evasion. Right now he's working right and left. He's using a pretty much same rhythm over and over again. So I'm familiar. I know when one hand's coming, the other hand's going to come right after that. Now I kind of told him to break the rhythm up. Change the timing. Take like one second twice or... This way it resembles a little more fighting. You really don't know what's coming. You might get hit a couple of times, but it's better with a focus mitt than with a bare fist. Notice he's using the feinting too. This next exercise works on evasion and then following up immediately. The reason we do this is that when performing a good evasion technique, your opponent will be in his most vulnerable position. If he throws a punch and you evade, you'll find that he is actually extended, exposing the vital area. So we want to come in right away, right after the evasion, and take the opponent out. As you'll see, this is also true with kicks. Again, right away, right after the evasion techniques, try to move in really quick. Now we'll see that with the focus mitts, we can also help on improving our kicking techniques. Keep one thing in mind, though. As the person holding the focus mitt, you should be watching the kicker or puncher and analyzing his body movements. What happens when he throws a roundhouse kick? What happens when he throws a punch? What moves? His shoulder, his knee, his hip? So this is really a valuable training method for both partners in this routine. Now you'll see I'm working the knee kicks. Right now, you're pretty much in control with both mitts out. But now that he switches him, he takes control. He can fool you. This really helps your reaction time. Sometimes you can cheat a little bit, like I did there, and kick the same side. Another interesting training method is working the evasion and kicks. Right now I'm doing a simple one side evade, one side kicks, one side evade, one side kicks. And like we did before, we can try to break up the rhythm. All your training methods should try to approach real fighting as close as possible. Next we're going to use is the air shield. This is pretty much a moving heavy bag when you think about it. I'm working the same techniques to low kicks one at a time. Now moving to combination low kicks. You can really work the knee kicks with the air shield. Again, the angle that your opponent holds the air shield is very important. In this case, I'm using a straight-in knee kick. Again, I'm using the switch step method, where the front leg becomes the rear leg. That adds to the power. Then, as in the bag training, I'm combining the kicks. Low kick, knee kick, low kick, knee kick. You really want to get in there right after the low kick, because that may not be as effective. It's also a good way for closing the gap, throwing the knee kick, then moving right in for the knee kick. Low kick, then knee kick. Now we can start seeing the advantages of using an air shield. We work in different angles, now with the hand techniques. Kind of faking a left and then coming in with the hook. I'm using his face as an actual target area for the left punch. Now we set up for the uppercuts. Another interesting method using the air shield is having your opponent move back and forth. If you have a large training area or on a football field, have him skip back as you skip in, throwing the techniques. The elbow is probably one of the most powerful weapons in an infighting arsenal. Right now I'm really using the advantage of distance to skip in and throw the elbow technique. I'm also swinging my hand out first, my left hand, and then coming with the right hand. This could be a jab or even a hair pulling technique where I reach out with the left hand and then come in with the right elbow. Here I'm just adding a spinning element to it. It may not be that practical in a fighting situation, but if you can set your opponent up for this, it is very devastating. Do them a couple of times slowly. Work on the footwork. Get the twisting in method in. Now we move to mirror and shadow fighting techniques. Right now I'm throwing the various combinations. What you should try to do when doing the mirror and shadow fighting is use big, wide movements. From analyzing the footage here, I actually see that I'm a little stiff in the upper body, something that I have to work on. This is why, by looking in front of the mirror, you too can figure out what your weaknesses might be and work on them, and then maybe make them your strengths. We slowed the pace down just a bit by adding the hand weights. Try not to extend your arms. This might hurt the joints, elbows and shoulders. I'm throwing combination now, left, right, and then hook punches. By working the different stances, you really find out what's your weak side and what's your strong side. Next we move to a heavier hand weight. You really can't do this for a long period of time, but this can really help your punching power. Next we move to ankle weights. I've never heard so much controversy before on using ankle weights. If done correctly, you really don't have that much problem with your knees. Try not to extend too much Work the technique slowly. If you do speed up, don't extend the knee. Right now I'm working each side individually. Left front kick, right front kick. Now I'm working the roundhouse kick. Try to raise the knee up high and chamber the leg, then snapping the kick. As you can see, I'm extending the ball of my foot in this situation. You can see how my rear hand is up. Should actually be by my jaw more. Next is the side kick. Again, raising the knee, chambering the leg. What you should try to do is try to hold the kick for 1 second. This will help you improve your form and angle of penetration. Next, of course, is putting it together with the hand weights and ankle weights. It's considerably slower than without them, but you'll find out that you'll actually improve your speed when you're not using the hand weights and ankle weights. Even though woods running is just another form of jogging or sprinting, it does help you improve your balance, footwork, and you have to be really quick on your toes. I also find it relaxing after a serious workout. Now that you have a basic idea of the training methods that I've shown you, let's see how effective they are in preparing you for real live fights. Now what I'm going to do is show you 4 matches in their entirety. One thing, however, we are very limited in the use of illegal techniques in a competition situation. So after the 4 matches, I'm going to show you street fighting applications of the moves that I've used in the fights. So let's get to the action. Now we'll move into the street fighting applications of these techniques. Here I'm using a stop hit. I'm actually using an offensive technique as a defensive technique. As he moved in, I met him with a jab. Again, I met him with the jab, followed up with an inner knife hand to the groin, hooked through a knee kick, and then a low kick. That low kick could have also been a groin kick. Again, jab, inner knife hand, knee kick, and then low kick. Next, we'll move to an evasion technique. As you can see, he just barely missed me with the roundhouse kick. Now again, like I mentioned before, by evading your opponent's technique, it leaves him in a very vulnerable position. What I did is, after the evasion, I moved right in behind him and grabbed his hair. Try to dig in really deep and get a firm grip near his scalp. You may also want to use your opposite hand and push his jaw in order to aid in the takedown. The next self-defense technique is really working off a block. As you can see here, I kind of hooked his leg and took out his supporting leg. Now we'll go to the street fight application of that. Make sure when blocking the kick, you use your opposite hand also, because you don't want the kick actually following through and nailing you in the head. As you can see right here, my right hand is blocking the kick and I'm hooking with my left hand, so the kick does not follow through. Now I'm working kind of a sweeping technique. I'm really hooking his leg with my leg. A variation to that is a knee joint kick. I'm actually chambering my leg and throwing the knee joint kick. I'm snapping the side kick pretty much on the inside of his knee. And then you can follow right up with a takedown. So after the joint kick, I use the hooking and sweeping technique. Set him up there for a groin stomp or a groin punch. I also used a heel on that low kick. Right here I worked an uppercut and followed immediately with a roundhouse kick. I tried to bring his guard down by going into his body. Again, I demonstrated one more time here. We're moving around. I drilled the body blow in there to bring his guard down, and then followed up with a high kick. Now the idea here is to go low and then work high. You may want to use the snap kick there, which would be a little easier. Now by bringing his body down, his head down after the low kick, I can follow up with a knee technique. So we move around, then quickly snap the groin kick in there. As he comes down forward, you can throw the hand techniques or the knee kick. This situation I pretty much showed you the low kicking techniques. Then I followed up with a groin kick and then I reached forward. Now I couldn't use that in a fight. What I did there is after the two low kicks and the groin kick, I reached in and grabbed his hair and I threw a headbutt. Now you try to hit his vulnerable area with your head, for example, the nose or the temple. So you're going to use your hard surface against a softer, more vulnerable surface on your opponent's head. So here's the two low kicks, follow up immediately with the groin kick and then a headbutt. And of course the takedown, drilling his face straight into the ground. Next here we see a low kick, uppercut, and then a quick high kick. Again, one more time slowly. Is the low kick, then the right body blow. Now I use my left hand to pretty much control my opponent, whether it be for blocking or guiding him by grabbing his hair. Now I'm going to show you a little more carefully the body blow. It's kind of an uppercut or a straight in hook punch using the two knuckles. So one more time, I worked the two low kicks, the low kick, then followed up immediately with an uppercut punch and then a left technique. 1, 2, and then 3. Now, of course, you may not be able to throw the high kick, so we can work different techniques. After the takedown, I show you the various forms of low kicks that we can use. Snap in, groin kick, or using the heel. When your opponent's down, I even follow up further with a face stomp and a face punch technique. Now we show it all together. After that first low kick, I reach forward with the left, throw the right uppercut, and I follow it up with the knee kicks as opposed to the high kick, which some of you may not be able to do because of the flexibility. Then, of course, was the final knockout. What really is important here is the distancing. Notice how the opponent came in, I moved back. I almost kind of let him in. I tricked him to come in and open up, and then I followed up with the technique. So as he came in, I hopped back and then followed up immediately with the technique. One way to practice that is with your opponent is to face each other in a fighting stance and move in back and forth. You may want to add techniques after that also. Move in, punch, and then move back, punch. In this case, of course, not everybody may be able to throw a spinning technique. So after the skipping back, I followed right up with a face punch or a front kick or the various side kicks to the knee joint. I really want to give you the idea here of distancing. Opponent moves in, you move back just slightly out of the way, but you're able to retaliate with either a spinning technique as shown there or the various front kicks and side kicks that you saw previously. Right there I'm using the knife hand to the temple and the neck area. You can also use the hammer fist to the temple.